Picture this, June 25th, 1977, Rapid City, South Dakota, the Rushmore Plaza Civic Center. 18,500 people packed into an arena, waiting for the king of rock and roll to take the stage. Elvis Presley, the man whose hips had scandalized a generation, the voice that had defined an era. But on this night, something happened that nobody expected. Something that would reveal a side of Elvis the world rarely got to see. A moment so powerful, so raw, so deeply human, that it would leave thousands of people in tears. And it all started when Elvis noticed one man in the crowd. The lights dimmed. The band struck the first chords. Elvis walked onto that stage wearing his iconic white jumpsuit, studded with jewels, cape flowing behind him like royalty. The crowd erupted, screams, applause, chaos. This was what they came for. This was the legend. But just a few songs into the set, something shifted. Elvis stopped mid-performance. The music faded. The arena fell silent. 18,500 people holding their breath. What was happening? Elvis was staring into the audience, his eyes locked onto someone. A man seated near the front, a man in uniform, military uniform. And in that moment, everything changed. Elvis raised his hand, signaling the band to stop completely. The silence was deafening. You could hear hearts beating. Then Elvis spoke, his voice steady but filled with something deeper. Respect, gratitude, emotion. He pointed toward the man in uniform and said something that made the entire arena freeze. He asked the soldier to stand. The man hesitated. You could see it, the discomfort, the humility. He didn't want the attention, but Elvis insisted, gently, respectfully, and slowly the man rose to his feet. The crowd didn't know what to do. Some clapped softly, others watched in stunned silence. What was Elvis about to do? If you've never heard this story, you need to subscribe to The Hidden Legacy right now, because what happens next is one of the most powerful moments in music history. Hit that like button, turn on notifications, and stay with me. This is about to get emotional. Elvis walked to the edge of the stage, as close as he could get to the soldier. And then he did something nobody expected. He began to speak about service, about sacrifice, about the men and women who wore the uniform and gave everything for their country. His voice cracked slightly. You could hear it. This wasn't a rehearsed speech. This was coming from somewhere deep inside. Elvis himself had served. He'd been drafted in 1958 at the height of his fame. He could have avoided it. He could have taken a deferment. But he didn't. He served his country like any other man, and now, standing on that stage in 1977, he was honoring another man who had done the same. The arena was completely silent. 18,500 people listening to every word. Elvis talked about what it meant to serve, what it meant to leave your family, your home, your life, and put on a uniform. He talked about the courage it took, the sacrifice, the cost, and as he spoke, something incredible began to happen. People started crying, not just a few, hundreds, then thousands. Grown men with tears streaming down their faces, women sobbing openly. The soldier himself standing there in the spotlight, overwhelmed, his eyes glistening, his jaw tight, trying to hold it together, but you could see it. The emotion, the weight of being seen, of being honored, of being recognized not as a spectacle, but as a human being who had given something precious. Elvis wasn't done. He asked the crowd to give this man the applause he deserved. And what happened next was something you had to be there to understand. The entire arena erupted, not the screaming, chaotic applause of a rock concert. This was different. This was thunderous. This was respect. This was gratitude. Wave after wave of applause crashing through that arena. It went on for minutes. People standing, clapping until their hands hurt. The soldier overwhelmed, trying to process what was happening. And Elvis, standing there on stage, watching it all unfold, tears in his own eyes. But here's where it gets even deeper, because this wasn't just about one soldier. This was about all of them, every man and woman who had served, every family that had waited, every sacrifice that had gone unnoticed. Elvis understood that. He'd lived it. And in that moment, he used his platform, his voice, his influence, to shine a light on something bigger than himself, bigger than his music, bigger than his fame. The concert eventually continued. Elvis sang his hits, the crowd danced and sang along, but the energy had shifted. Something sacred had happened, something that transcended entertainment. And when people left that arena that night, they weren't just talking about the songs, they were talking about the moment. The moment Elvis stopped everything to honor a soldier. The moment a superstar reminded the world what really mattered. Now, here's what most people don't know about that night. There's more to this story. After the concert, Elvis didn't just leave. He asked to meet the soldier personally, backstage, away from the cameras, away from the crowd, just two men who had worn the uniform, who understood what it meant. What they talked about, nobody knows. That conversation stayed between them, but those who were there said Elvis emerged different, quieter, more reflective, as if that conversation had touched something deep within him. This moment in Rapid City wasn't an isolated incident. Throughout his career, Elvis consistently honored military service. He never forgot what it meant to serve. He never took for granted the freedoms he enjoyed, and he used his influence to remind others to do the same. But this night stood out because it was raw, it was unscripted, it was real. And it showed the world a side of Elvis that the headlines and tabloids rarely captured. Think about what was happening in 1977. The Vietnam War had ended just 2 years earlier. The country was divided. Veterans were coming home to protests, to anger, to a nation that didn't know how to process what had happened. Many soldiers felt forgotten, disrespected, invisible. And then Elvis Presley, the biggest star in the world, stopped his concert to honor one of them, to say, "I see you, I respect you, thank you." The impact of that moment rippled far beyond that arena. Stories spread. People who weren't even there heard about it. Veterans across the country felt seen. Families of servicemen and women felt validated. And for a brief moment, a divided nation remembered something it had forgotten. The human cost of service, the sacrifice behind the uniform, the men and women who gave pieces of themselves so others could live free. If you're moved by this story, do me a favor. Make sure you're subscribed to The Hidden Legacy. Hit that like button. Turn on notifications, because we're diving deep into moments like this, moments that reveal the true character of legends, moments that history almost forgot. Stay with me. There's more to uncover. But let's talk about Elvis for a moment. Who was he really? Beyond the music, beyond the movies, beyond the spectacle. He was a man who grew up poor in Tupelo, Mississippi. A man who knew what it meant to struggle, to go without, to dream of something bigger. When fame came, it came fast and overwhelming. But somewhere in the chaos, he never lost touch with where he came from. He never forgot the value of humility, of respect, of recognizing the humanity in others. His time in the military shaped him. He served in Germany from 1958 to 1960. He lived in barracks with other soldiers. He pulled guard duty. He drove trucks. He didn't ask for special treatment, and he didn't get it. He was just another soldier, and that experience stayed with him for the rest of his life. It gave him perspective. It taught him what sacrifice looked like up close. And it made him respect anyone who wore the uniform. So when Elvis stopped that concert in Rapid City, it wasn't a publicity stunt. It wasn't for the cameras. It was genuine. It was personal. It was a man honoring another man who had walked a similar path, and the crowd felt it. You can't fake that kind of authenticity. You can't manufacture that kind of emotion. It was real, and that's why it hit so hard. Now, imagine being that soldier. Imagine sitting in that arena, just hoping to enjoy a concert, to escape for a few hours, to hear the king sing his songs, and then suddenly you're standing. The spotlight is on you. Elvis Presley is talking about you. 18,500 people are applauding you. Tears are streaming down faces all around you. What must that have felt like? To be seen, to be honored, to have your sacrifice acknowledged by one of the most famous men on earth. We'll never fully know what that soldier felt in that moment, but we know what it meant. We know what it represented. It was a reminder that service matters, that sacrifice deserves recognition, that the men and women who defend freedom are worthy of respect and gratitude. And Elvis, in his own way, made sure that message was heard loud and clear. This is why the hidden legacy exists, to uncover these stories, to shine a light on the moments that reveal true character, to go beyond the headlines and discover the humanity behind the legends. If you haven't already, subscribe right now, like this video, turn on notifications, and join us as we continue to explore the hidden moments that shaped history. Let's go deeper, because there's a question worth asking. Why did this moment resonate so powerfully? What was it about Elvis stopping his concert that moved thousands of people to tears? Part of it was the unexpectedness. Nobody saw it coming. The concert was going as planned. And then suddenly, it wasn't. Elvis broke the script. He broke the fourth wall. He made it real. But it was more than that. It was the fact that Elvis used his platform for something meaningful. In a world of entertainment, spectacle, and distraction, he chose to focus on substance, on honor, on gratitude. He could have kept singing. He could have ignored the soldier in the crowd. But he didn't. He stopped everything. And in doing so, he reminded everyone in that arena what truly mattered. There's a lesson in that. A lesson about priorities, about using influence wisely, about recognizing that some moments are bigger than the moment. Elvis understood that, and he acted on it, not for applause, not for recognition, but because it was the right thing to do. And that authenticity is what moved people. That's what brought tears. That's what made the moment unforgettable. Think about the world we live in today. How often do we stop to honor sacrifice? How often do we pause to recognize the people who serve? We get busy. We get distracted. We take things for granted. But moments like this remind us to slow down, to pay attention, to say thank you, to honor those who give so much. Elvis didn't just entertain that night. He taught, he reminded, he inspired. And that's the power of a moment like this. It transcends time. It transcends music. It becomes something eternal, something that lives on in the hearts and minds of everyone who witnessed it, and even those who didn't, because stories like this spread, they inspire, they challenge us to be better. Before we close, I want you to do something. Think about the people in your life who have served, who have sacrificed, who have given something of themselves for others. Maybe it's a family member, a friend, a neighbor, someone you pass by without thinking. Take a moment to recognize them, to thank them, to honor them, because that's what Elvis did, and that's what we should all do. This story isn't just about Elvis Presley. It's about all of us. It's about remembering what matters. It's about honoring sacrifice. It's about recognizing the humanity in others. And it's about using whatever platform we have, big or small, to make a difference, to shine a light, to say thank you. That night in Rapid City, South Dakota, Elvis Presley reminded 18,500 people what it meant to be human, what it meant to serve, what it meant to sacrifice. And in doing so, he left a legacy far greater than any song, a legacy of respect, of gratitude, of honor. That's the hidden legacy, and that's what we're here to uncover. Make sure you're subscribed to the hidden legacy, like this video, turn on notifications, and keep watching, because we're just getting started. There are more stories like this, more moments that changed lives, more legends with hidden depths, and we're going to find them all together. Stay with me. The journey continues, and trust me, you won't want to miss what comes next.